Hello, very good morning, very good afternoon, or good night from where are you watching this video. Today our topic is WebAPI Zero to Hero series, and this is the KR Tech channel. Please follow and subscribe. What is a WebAPI? Like a WebAPI is first we need to discuss introduction to the WebAPI. API. What is stands for API? Application Programming Interface. It allows to software application to communicate. Like a software application, SAP, Salesforce. This application we want to communicate with that application. We need to use API. So that is the main agenda of API. So that's the reason API is introduced to connect uh, other softwares to different softwares like Google Maps, like location tracking, and weather report. These things we wanted to see, so that we need to communicate with Django or Stack or .NET with the using of .NET languages. We need to communicate with the API. So API is the middleware of front end and back end. So that is the main thing of API. And Web API enable communicate over the web using HTTP. Like Web API is communicating with the using of HTTP and HTTPS. What is HTTP? Hyper Transfer Text Plane. And HTTPS is security. It is nowadays all applications are using HTTPS only, and used in web mobile cloud application. What is this mean by? Like Web API we can use in the web or mobile or cloud application, anywhere we can use. Like mobile application like a Facebook, if you want to track a location, in that also we can use. Same that Windows application, coming about the Meta or any application if we want to open in the Windows, so that is also we can plus. But and cloud application means like which are we deployed in the cloud, that is also communicate with the APIs, like different softwares. And what are the types of Web API? Web API are the basically it's four types, like a REST, SOAP, GraphQL, Graph Query Language, and a GRCP. These are the four types. Like the mainly we are using nowadays we are using REST API and GRCP. REST API is representation. What is the REST stand for? Representation State Transfer. User standards HTTP methods. Like user standard HTTP methods, nothing but it transfer to the HTTP or HTTPS. That's we called as a REST API, and we have some REST guidelines also there. We will discuss the REST guidelines once. These are the six guidelines principles are there in the REST APIs. If these six principles are follows with the API, so that we will call as a REST API. First one is uniform interface. Uniform interface is nothing but by applying the principle of generality components interface, we can simply the overall system architectural and improve user experience. Like identification of resource, we need to identify the what is the resources, and self-respective messages like each resources and a hypermedia as a engine. of application state and a client server like get, post, delete this, stateless, catchable, and layout, code domain. I will make a separate video for this REST guidelines uh, afterwards, and we'll go to our presentation. This is a SOAP API. Generally, REST API stands for JSON plain text. JSON plain text. And SOAP, user transfer to the XML based messaging, like you same like vice versa. REST API follows for JSON, and SOAP is XML based format. I will give an example of REST and SOAP API with the using of one sample demo POC in the next class. And third one is GraphQL. This is we are not mostly we are not following any organization of this for GraphQL, but in generally it is also one type of web APIs, like it is querying languages for API. Our main agenda is a REST API, so that's the reason we will go through this REST API, but I will just explain this what are the types in web API. And GRCP like it is a user protocol buffers high performance communication, like generally in the outside of the market, like we want to improve our performance. At the time we will use gRPC, like take an example of Netflix. Within the seconds, like we can perform, like if suppose if a football or a tennis match is there in the outside, you want to like it is single time 1 crore members or 2 crore members are watching this football club match. So at the time we will use gRPC, like if we increase the performance also, it won't affect. That is gRPC. And sorry. And REST API basics. It follows the REST principle, like REST API basics. It follows the REST API basics. Follows the REST principle: stateless, client server, catchable, user stand HTTP methods. Like RESTful APIs means it follows the REST principle. The REST principle guidelines I will explain the next class today only. And stateless also we will cover in that topic only. Client server, catchable, just we discussed, right, these things. And user standard HTTP methods. User must be standard HTTP methods. Like we have a 4 type of data is there. One is get, and one is post, one is put, one is batch, and one more is delete. What is stands for get? Get means retrieve the data. If you want to retrieve some data to the other software, at the time we will use as a get. Like suppose whether if we want to weather report the all locations, at the time we will use as a get protocol, sorry, get method, and we will retrieve the weather report. Post, if we want to create the data, suppose the Kolkata location is not there in the weather report, it is not created in that weather report. At the time we will use the post app method. We will send the current weather report to that software. So it will automatically created in that. It will create with the basics, with the standings. It will create in that weather report. Put like morning and evening, the weather report is different, and afternoons, summer days are also different. So at the time we want to update in the afternoon or evening weather report, we will take as a Kolkata, and we will update as a 33 or 27 Celsius, and with that particular software. So it will update based on that, based on that logic and all things. It will update the data and delete. Suppose I wanted to remove Kolkata data into that particular uh, weather report. I want to use a delete method, and I will delete all the data. And patch. Patch is also used to update the data, but patch, one main difference is there between put and patch. Put is, if we are using a put API, it will suppose I have three options I am sending into the API, like ID and name, location. ID, some random number one, and name Kolkata, and third location 29 degrees Celsius. I am sending to the software. At the time, it will takes all the three informations, I am updating only Kolkata, and ID is the same, but third one location I am updating. At the time it will take all the three parameters, but in the patch, what are only I am updating, like 29 to 31. Only that data will send with the using of patch. That is the main difference between put and patch. Next topic is REST API structure. What is the structure of REST API? This is a basic URL of REST API, https API example.com. Like suppose we are opening anything. This is also a REST API. If like this is a REST API. Endpoints like /user /product /address. These are the endpoints. In this example, what is the endpoint? This search is an endpoint, and we are searching this data like this. Response format, like response format is JSON and XML. These two formats we are sending. Like take an example in this. Like I'm entering Control-I. This is HTML file and uniform transfer file. The data is sending with this. Like this we can find out if that is a JSON or XML. It will show with the JSON format. I will create one sample project. In that project I will explain whole thing. And status code. These are the main status codes in the REST API. 200 means like okay, 201 is created, 400 is bad request, 401 is unauthorized, 404 is not found, 200 like when we are sending any request, uh, it will it is sending as a correct, at the time 200 will create, and 201 means if we are sending any data to the software, at the time if a new record is created or updated, 201 the response code will come, and 400 any error occurs in that software through API, at the time 400 will come, and 401 if any unauthorized person, third party person, he is trying to access our API, at the time we will it will get back the 401 error web REST API error code, and 404 if that API is not found, at the time 404 will come. And what is the authentication and authorization? I think most of the people knows this thing. Authentication is authorization. Authentication is nothing but a user is suppose a user is accessing one application or one API. If that with the using of authorization, it will check like whether that particular user is accessible to that application, like whether he has access or not. If he has access, it will log in. Suppose take as example as a meta application. If I have a like a business account and personal account, then I will use with my username and password. I am clicking on the login button, it automatically it will check in the background and whether the username and password is correct or not, and it will log in. That is called as authentication. But authorization is a different. If once I am login, what are the all permissions are there, it will check that thing and it will get it back. So that is a called as authorization. I log in and my I don't have a messenger, and I don't my account is not a premium, so at that time it will not open some of the pages. So that is the main difference between authentication and authorization. And the API keys, like API keys is simple but less secure. API keys, it should be simple, but but less secure. OAuth 2.0 secure authentication with the tokens. Like with the token based authentication, we have two two things are there, like JSON web token, stateless authentication, and OAuth 2.0 secure authentication with the tokens, and the basic authentication, username and password. These are all four types of authentication techniques, authentication and authorization techniques. API key means like we are using a one API key through the entire application. At the time we will use with API key, but this is not using nowadays. Nowadays mainly they are using JWT, and basic authentication is nothing but we are sending I will show an example in the Google. This is a basic authentication is ASP.NET WebAPI. See, this is a user and this is a server. He is sending a one request. If you don't have an access, mm, it will send a response code for not one unauthorized, and he is sending authorization basic some key what he stored in his database or in his server. Is sending with that, it will get back 200 response. We will implement with this using an XML file like .NET Framework XML file. Authentication mode is Windows, and we will set in IIS authentication. In that authentication, we will give username and password. We will implement this thing the using of one class. In that we will check check password whether username is xyz or password is password. It will check in that IIS, and if that is corrected it will get back, or otherwise it will give as a error response. And with that API, see, this is an example. And JWT authentication. JWT authentication is a big concept, and I will explain with the project one by one step in the next class. Basic authentication. Basic authentication is means username. Just we discussed, right? I will make a video, separate video with the JWT token. What are the building and testing APIs? Building and testing APIs are mainly like three are there, like 3 and 4 are there. The most familiar and famous API testing tool is Postman, with the using of GUI based API testing, like graphical user interface API testing tool. And Swagger Open API, it is an API documentation and testing. Same, this is also API. Swagger and Postman also same. Nowadays in the .NET 8, Swagger is automatically by default is injecting, and it the page is open. Project page is open with the with the Swagger file, and that is CURL, command line tool testing. We are not using this nowadays, mainly we are using, but some people are using this thing. I don't have exact. Now I will make it small, very small. This was like command line tool testing. Securing APIs means like we will use API gateways for adding security. API gateways we need to add for security, and HTTPS encryption communication. This is a secure communication. Implement rate limiting to prevent abuse. What is a rate limiting? Rate limiting means like with that particular API, how many users are to allow, like that will call as and rate limiting. Validate and sanitize input to prevent SQL injection and XXX. We need to use as a tool SQL injection. That is also one type of securing API. Like a rate limiting documentation is there. Rate limiting and C# abuse can leverage ASP.NET Rate limiting package, which provide middleware to control number of requests client can make within the specified time. Windows configuring ASP.NET Core application typically within that startup does. Yeah. Opening project. Next, real world use case. Social media APIs we will use as a Meta, Facebook, Meta, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp. These are all are the social media APIs. Payment gateway, PayPal, Razorpay, Stripe. These are the payment APIs. Weather APIs. Open weather stack. These are the weather APIs. Maps for location. Google Maps. The best example of and this, yeah, this is a project we will create with file new project. In this project we will select as ASP.NET Core WebAPI. It supports C#, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, API, Cloud Services, Web, because this is ASP.NET Core application. That is the main difference. Yeah. And I created while in that, this is my program.css. See, here builder add service add. This is a middleware. In this builder.service add Swagger is by default added. So that's the reason Swagger as came by default. If I am running this application, it is building. This is ready to open. Yeah, it's by default open with the security Swagger. And this is get, this is post, this is get. Delete. I'll create sample control, a task control. In that I am adding two tasks like ID1 learn API, build and core API is a boolean, and this is a string, this is ID. And this is a HTTP get. This is a HTTP. This is route. This is a route. HTTP by ID. HTTP post. HTTP put by ID. And HTTP delete. And this is my simple class. Here which I am taking in top right. So this is my ID. First get what I am doing, return OK. So it will call like a enumerable the using of. It will return these two things. And if I wanted to add this thing, get only second one, I need to send in the UI like send. Response. Okay, the data is written with the JSON format. 1 name learn API is complete. Net core is complete. False. And second. Yeah, sorry. This is a post. So now I am executing. Added 3. Get my ID. Second ID is key with a JSON format. This is a put. Is delete. This start records. So with the using of delete. See here I have two records. This is and I will send this whole document if anybody wants this whole document with the using of example, some sample POC example. I will send it. Please drop a comment in the chat in this video. I will send an entire document. In the next documents we will discuss JWT to authentication and separate video, and I will make a separate video in the REST guidelines as a separate video, and with the using of one connection SQL I will make a project. That is also one video I will make today only. And with this, according to the in this all classes, we'll make as a video as experienced interview questions of WebAPI. Yeah, and thank you for any questions. Feel free to ask questions. Contact KRC Tech channel http://youtube.com/KRD. If you want to Gmail, you can Gmail. I'll send as a free. Thank you.